Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Shift. We're going to be talking a little bit today about our dreams and the spiritual training we're getting to prepare us for when we get those superpowers. Also, I read a thread by somebody who coordinated the timing of past epidemics with solar cycles, and it made a click in my head, so I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe what this virus actually is. But tell us what you were dreaming.
Okay, first thing I'm noticing is that you having your fan on makes you look like you're the Bee Gees. You have to start singing Staying Alive. That looks really good. so
there, I adjusted the fan.
And for me, it's wintertime in Sydney. Okay, so my thing was a dream, and I had it last night, so that it was long. It felt like it just went on and on and on. And it was one scene after the other of people coming to attack me. And they, some things were simple, like a guy who was running around a bar with a spritzer, like a water spray. And everyone was getting really upset and running away. So whether there was virus in the spray or I don't know, but it seemed to be up to me to go and try and wrestle it off him. There was another guy chasing me around a swimming pool, and I was trying to get around people, and how am I going to get away? But then I have to get to him to disarm him. There was a young woman who was quite pretty, and there was only a photographer in this particular room who was going, I don't understand. She seemed to be so nice. And there was a big TV on the wall of the images that he'd taken of her, which were like modeling portfolio shots, like standard, sweet shots, when in fact she was running around after me with an axe, and the other guy as well. And I was trying to figure, how can I get the axe of her? And each of these people, some of them I would get hold of them, and I might even lift them up sideways to throw them through a window or something, but I couldn't do it. And then I'd try to stop the axe, and it felt like once I came out of all of that, and I was often I sort of just try and process what was that about, that it seemed to be like training. It did, because as we move forward, with great power comes great responsibility. And if there is no separation between all of us, we need to learn to use these powers in a way that doesn't hurt other people.
So are you saying your training was you had to learn how to handle attacks without hurting others?
Yeah. Disarm them and disempower them. So I've been reading a little bit more of the Ringing Cedar book series from Russia. Even in the very first book, the man tried to attack this highly spiritual woman, and she put him to sleep as a way of stopping the situation. And there were other times when some guys came at her with a gun, and she dissolved the gun into dust, I think it was. So, there's things you can do that disarm or disempower people without hurting them, or force their feet to the ground, because if the power of thought will be instant manifestation once we move into 5D. And you're going to have to be able to be very, very careful with how you use that. Be very disciplined. Exactly. But it doesn't even occur to you to pick someone up and throw them out a window.
Right. Or you're driving in traffic, another guy cuts in front of you. You're like, I wish all these cars would just disappear. Oops. Cancel.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been having cool dreams like that, but there's a bluebird that hangs out in my vegetable garden, and it's been standing on the fence by the garden going, laughing at me whenever I get near the plum tree. It goes into the tree and gets really loud. And so I told it, I'm not going to hurt your nest. You're safe. I hope you appreciated all the strawberries I grew for you, all that. But then yesterday and today, it left me little feathers. You can probably just barely see that, little tiny. It's blue.
Oh, beautiful.
And this one came today.
Oh,
right there in the garden where it always hangs out. I just thought, well, that's nice. And then I looked it up, and it says that the angels are communicating with you. So I liked it. So I have
angels are communicating all the time, Sarah. Really?
Well, maybe it's just saying you're not listening, or maybe the angels are communicating to me through that bird. Yeah, I had Saint Germain come through a crow once. That was that was a funny story. I was in a crappy ass mood, and I was returning a movie at Blockbuster Video, which is like, this was a long time ago, and I was running stuff in my head, and I got out of my car in the parking lot, and there's this big old black crow, like 5 feet away, really not far. And as I walked around, it didn't move away. It came toward me. So I stopped and looked at it, and it turned its back to me and went, dropped a turd there, and then went, and then flew off. I'm like, okay, get this shit out of your head.
Yeah.
Stop polluting the environment with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And I recognize the energy of Saint Germain sort of coming through there. Okay, so getting on to this cool thread I saw. Yeah. So here's an image that she put in, and these are the various solar cycles, where the maximum cycle and the lowest cycle. And then she circled in red where these various flus happen. There's a 1989-90 was the Russian flu, 1918 was the Spanish flu, 1956-58 Asian flu, 68-69 Hong Kong flu, 2009 swine flu, and they all take place during solar minimum. And
you want to explain what a solar minimum is?
Oh, sure. So the sun goes through regular cycles, 11 years, when there's a whole lot of sunspots and a whole lot of magnetic field coming out of it. And then periodically, it has very few sunspots. We happen to be in solar minimum right now, and probably very close to the grand solar minimum. But what happens is, during those events, the magnetic field around the Earth is reduced because the sun isn't giving us as much. And that means more cosmic rays come into the planet. And when cosmic rays come in, and from 1915 to 18, the cosmic rays coming in, as they've measured them, has gone up 18%.
Wow.
And that's a lot. I mean,
it is.
So these rays, what they do is they trigger ascension, basically.
Wake you up.
Yep. It's like, come on, wait, speed up, get your frequency up. So that made me think, gee, remembering what Gosha had said, you can find links to her video below, about what came from the Pleiadians, about what really viruses are and what they're not. What they said, basically, is cells give off what they call exogenes. And those are what we call viruses. Yes. And scientists know exosomes, exogenes, I think she called them both things, something like that. And they're basically communication for the cell. So if a cell is going into a situation, for instance, oh my God, I've got not enough vitamin C, I'm suffering, it puts the signal out, goes low vitamin C, low vitamin C. And other cells pick that up and go, oh my God, low vitamin C. Or whatever it is, and it triggers the body into going down into a low energy state, takes it low. It also can trigger it to raise your temperature, because that increases the activity of the cellular enzymes, and so it makes it so that they're more able to access things they want to. These exosomes or exogenes are also toxic releases. If the body's toxic, it's going to be releasing this stuff, and if there's something wrong, it'll release this stuff. And then also, as we have, these are basically the symptoms. This is what the flu is. And then your system will also say, okay, we don't want to get these toxins out. So then you've got all the mucus and the coughing and all that. Well, then when you get these little signals that go into another cell, say in another person, if they breathe it in, first of all, the cell goes, oh no, there's a warning, we don't have enough vitamin C. And then it says, look for it, check it out. And then, oh no, wait, we're fine. We have vitamin C. We don't need to do that. But if it does find it's also in a stressed environment because of whatever, like the low vitamin C, then it signals to other cells, oh no, we got low vitamin C, and they all start signaling it out, and then you get this big virus load. And by the way, Ebola is treated by giving them vitamin C.
Mm-hmm. And
so there you go.
Quite a few COVID cases at the very beginning, we heard about them intravenously putting in massive doses.
That's right.
As well,
That's right. I think zinc is also a big part of that one. So, I mean, scientists know that cells give out little things that are not viruses that look like viruses, but they're still selling the virus thing and the immunizations against it. And if you think about it, what you're doing when you're giving somebody an immunization is you're giving them a ton of warning signals. Warning, warning, warning. And then you're also triggering react, 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 you know?
Which makes them sick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you think about it, generally speaking, your family members will be in a similar situation, and maybe your larger group that you interact with are often have a similar foods. If the family's under stress, everybody's carrying it. We pass this emotional step back and forth. So that's why it shares amongst people.
Same as in a bus or at work. If you think about it, we must be very, very sensitive to the vibe of other people. So if you've got somebody terribly low, it might actually bring down the room, as you've felt before. Sometimes, you come into a room and you go, oh, golly, we don't know what's been going on in this room. So if we're that sensitive that you can actually bring down everybody who's squished into the train at once, and suddenly everybody gets the flu, that does kind of make sense.
Yeah. And the other thing is that these signals aren't just read by your cells. They're read by the bacteria. So we all have bacteria, we all have strep, we all have staph, we all have all this stuff in us all the time. It's just our bodies keep it in balance. But when the bacteria says, "Ooh, this body's in stress, they're weakened, attack!" And what we know is effective treatment for this COVID is the hydroxychloroquine, but also the azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. And then I found an article about the truth of the Spanish flu in 1918. As he said, clearly and consistently implicated their autopsy information, secondary bacterial pneumonia caused by common upper respiratory tract bacteria in most influenza cases. So basically, it's a bacterial infection, and that's what's killing COVID people too. You start off with cold-type symptoms, coughing, but then they end up with pneumonia.
Right. And that seems to kill a lot more people than flu. Like that document that came out about the April deaths from the CDC that had been adjusted, remember? Like originally CDC was basically giving everybody who died, putting them all down as COVID. Car accidents, heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, terminal diseases, they were all being put down as COVID victims. And then they were forced to adjust it in April, and they removed about 80% of them or something and said they were actually mostly pneumonia. And of those, so they put them into COVID over here. I'll show you on the screen. COVID over here, and then flu and pneumonia over here. And then in the details, it actually said the vast majority of these are pneumonia, and only 18 cases were positively identified as flu, which makes you wonder, why on earth are we being sold the jab for the flu if so few people out of the whole of America die of the flu? And they're actually dying of pneumonia, and nobody's ever promoted a pneumonia vaccine. It's silly. And no, like you're saying, no jab is going to help you if this is the way your body works. Quite a few virologists have agreed with what you're talking about, that it's possible they have manipulated a superbug. There's been correspondence that shows the argument between scientists talking about the ethics of whether they should be doing that kind of thing or not. But whether you would take it on, whether your body would take it on or not, depends on its own immunity.
Right. And your toxicity, your stress levels, all those things. So, how do you make people stressed?
You make
them scared.
Yeah.
You make them wear masks and walk around and the world has changed.
You completely fill the media with terrifying information.
Add some Black Lives Matter writing stuff, and you have people so stressed out. It's really quite
the police are going to disappear. There was an article that came out saying, I think it was Minnesota, were considering putting in Sharia law now instead. These are really great ways to scare people.
Exactly. So just to finish up what I was thinking about the sunspot, the cosmic rays, the ascension, bottom line is what's going on is we're in an ascension process. And how do people describe ascension symptoms? It's called the ascension flu even. So the symptoms that we're having also, as you know, are very similar or exactly the same as detoxing.
Yes. Yes.
So, you
Nausea,
know, bottom line.
Yeah, all sorts of things. Tummy problems, throat problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, so many things are very, very similar. Actually, when you were talking about those solar minimums being every 11 years, the first thing that popped into my head was that the Indigenous people in Australia, they have their own set of weather patterns that the white people here have ignored ever since they arrived. And they work in a season, like a cycle of 11 years.
Interesting.
There's like seasons that run through 11 years and then they start again. Totally
Makes
different
sense.
from how we talk about 4 seasons in 1 year and we expect the next year to be the same, because it's not. We have, you know, periods of drought and then there's rain again, and
It's true.
yeah.
So I think we know we're all going to get it.
Wow, that's something to look forward to.
And we probably already have it. We've already,
Exactly.
I guess you could say people who aren't ascending, maybe they don't get it, or maybe if they get it, it makes them really sick or something. But the rest of us, we're just like up leveling and detoxing. Everybody's got it.
It's just like we all get flus and we all get colds each year anyway, if we're stressed or overworked. It's just your body saying, get some time to relax and rejuvenate and put the right things in your body. I mean, really look after yourself as you go through this, and that'll sort of minimize the symptoms. And if you need sleep, take the time to sleep. We've found that so many times you end up sleeping 12 hours, 14 hours in one night. If you have to do it, then you have to do it. And it's crucial that you look after yourself in that way. Otherwise, you don't get what you need.
The other part of this, the paper about the Spanish flu, was that was right around the time when Bayer came out with aspirin, and they were really pushing it. And they were giving this to the patients. And the recommended dose was like 25 doses of the common dose you get of 325 milligrams. The people died of a bacterial pneumonia, and there were 2 types of deaths in the Spanish flu. One was sort of a longer pneumonia one. The other was this surprise sudden death. But they were just handing out huge amounts of aspirin everywhere. So that, you know, the idea is keep your fever down. So you don't want to keep your fever down. It's doing something.
Right.
Avoiding NSAIDs.
Lots to learn. We have so much to learn, and we won't learn it from the mainstream media. Keep doing your research. Keep smiling. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.